Cameras are out. What's this, the NSA? Hey? So what's up? How are you doing?
Yep.
Where is Starboy when we first meet him in the story?
I don't know where he is specifically geographically, because that's one of the things that's great about the undefinable, right? I think that's one of the things where people leave it up to the imagination and they don't politicize it. You know, the more restrictive you become with these fantastical elements of geography, the more it becomes about what it is and what it symbolizes. But they're in the future. Yeah, 3,000 years in the future.
Is he part of the Legion at that point?
Yes.
Is he still with the Legion?
Yeah. So I don't know in terms of what the archetype for how long these people are for and how old they age, but they are in the middle of the narrative. You find out that this new Legion is very young, and I am of the new Legion.
Will your character interact with Batman in the original Justice or the older Justice League?
Are you talking about in this piece?
In this story, will they meet?
Do you want to know?
I'm curious.
Yes, yeah. So he goes. Do you want me to tell you a bit about the narrative?
Sure.
So he goes back. So there are bad people and there are the good people, and we are the good people. So I go back because the fate of the Legion is compromised 3,000 years in the future. So what happens is it's an indescript area where they are, but they go back and they end up going back to the time of the Justice League, and I end up traveling back to try and help restore what has potentially been lost in the future.
How do you think Starboy views the older heroes like Batman, Superman, Wondercon? Do you think he respects them?
Oh yeah, no, complete. The interesting thing about Starboy, I felt, was that because there is an aspect of mental, he has a malady, a mental illness, and he has to take medication for it. So that's one of the tools inherently about him not completely knowing or being very lucid with explaining exactly what's happening. So he has these outbursts throughout the narrative that allow you to... You're doing a great job multitasking. It's pretty good, right? You don't even need a pod, do you? My hand is my pod. Just got a hand on that. So one of the great things about that is that it allows the team as a narrative device to speculate and to come up with what's happening here, and he finds out more about why he's gone back because he starts losing his powers. He needs to take medication, or he starts losing his powers, then his memory, right? Once he starts taking it back, and once it becomes vital for their survival, he remembers.
That's real exciting because that's sort of like psychological or illness. That's not something you often see with these sort of stories. Because I mean, in these characters, a lot of them probably believe they're defined by their powers and their identities as a hero. So if they're threatened with losing that, I almost feel like they'd be threatened with losing like their whole identity.
That's a really, really interesting point, and I've thought about that, and that was one of the reasons why essentially I was drawn to playing a character that has, first of all, mental illness in so many different ways. Is something that's, it's not a departure from the whole hero logos and theme, but to really insinuate that aspect thematic, or to be one of the touchstones of fear, vulnerability, loss, but also to still exist as a hero in the end. But that there is a fear there. There's a fear to do with not being able to know why he doesn't remember, and they pepper it pretty nicely, the writers and the creators. And I thought that it was something like you said. It's very succinct that I've not read before in a superhero.
I'm very excited now.
Yeah, I don't want to set it up too high, but that was just something that I appreciated when I read it.
In light of like this character and Scorpion, can you speak to like the importance depicting these types of characters and in light of kind of the stigma, or moving past the stigma of mental illness, or just even thinking differently than a lot of people might consider how these characters should act.
Oh. Now let me get your question right there. You're saying, are you trying to find out my take on what it is?
I'm sure. I guess in light of Scorpion was one kind of a character who had not a mental illness, I say, but he wasn't considered normal.
Right.
And this, you were a hero. Now it's the hero is the one with kind of the mental illness. Usually that's the villain role. So how is it sort of like breaking past the stigma? These things aren't unusual. These people.
Well, what I found really interesting. So let me finish because this is good. That's a great question, because what I found quite interesting about the last show that you referenced that I did was that in a way they tasked themselves. One of the biggest themes is the greater good. It's to help people who have the same, not disability, and that's the whole point, is that everybody has some form of a need to be part of a group, and they have maybe misfit personalities that have rendered themselves not being part of the group. And feeling a need to belong is a very, very important thing. So I think that there is an attachment there, and they love, people are represented as heroes. I mean, I've heard people talk about the characters in Scorpion as heroes as well, but I think that this character within the Fatal Five, there's something that is very important about telling people that there is not dictating, but not necessarily saying this is your path because this is what narrative suggests systematically, right? Everybody struggles with some form of a mental neurosis that can verge into, and that can swallow you up. It's the light and the shade, right? It's the argument, it's the fight of good versus evil, and we have that within us. It's a very Jungian thing. So, but that's biblical. That's very, very old. So, if you talk about the ability to overcome yourself, if there's a problem with yourself, and if this guy is a hero in the end, I think that's something that's very worthy. But it's also a great message as well. That's a good question, man.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. Thanks, guys.